So I think the path we've gone down, just to clarify, I think this is a very good thing for Delta pilots. I would absolutely take it for the reasons that you brought up, but I don't think I would put any money into the investment side of it. And I'd probably do it another way. Like if I really like the idea of insurance, I would probably put it into something else, doing something almost the exact same way, but take away the fees and get some guarantees. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. And let's get into that right after a few more cons that I want to really foot stompers that Delta pilots need to be aware of before they go into this. And then, yes, what you just said, there's a better way to do that. So option number one, do it for the lower imputed income. Option, 2 and 3, the reasons you might want to do it for the permanent life insurance and the cash value account, there's a better way to do that. Let me hit on a couple more notes right here. They mentioned, hey, you can take those withdrawals up to your basis without it being taxed. But you can always access cash value in any life insurance policy completely tax-free through the loan feature. And that's how I would recommend utilizing that cash value anyways, through a loan feature. And we'll talk more about that. Be aware when you take this policy with you at 65, you got to understand how universal life insurance is built. It's built on the chassis of 1 year annual renewable term insurance. So term insurance, cheap, right? At your age, say at 45 years old, yeah, you can get $1 million of term insurance for maybe $1,000 a year, probably less, if you shop around. When you're 65 years old, how do you think the premium has changed on $1 million of insurance? It's gone up by a multiple. So what I'm saying is every year you get older with these universal life policies, the insurance becomes more and more expensive. When you're 70 years old, nobody, and I mean nobody, is writing that check to the insurance company saying, yep, keep that $1 million in force for me. Here's your $10, $20, or $30,000, whatever the premium is at that time. Nobody's writing that check. The whole premise behind this separate cash value account is that, hey, your cash value should be growing enough so that when that premium increases dramatically in your later years, your cash value has enough money to just grab from that and pay your premium for you. Well, then really all you're doing is kind of putting insurance on a layaway plan, right? You're putting money in now and it's going to take it later to pay the premium. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. So big rising cost of insurance as you get older, and probably nobody's going to want to start paying that on their own after they leave Delta. There is some fine print to be aware of on that website. So if Delta ever cancels this plan, say you're 45 right now, do you think Delta might cancel or change this plan in the next 40 years? It's possible. And if they do, your policy could be canceled. So that's right there in the fine print. If Delta ever changes, then your policy is at risk of being lost. Bottom line with this stuff, it's not a safe money asset that I know you don't endorse, Ryan, and I don't endorse either. Your cash value is subject to market risk. So it's not a fixed asset part of your portfolio.
Dave, can I bring this up so you can explain it in more detail? Because I already know what universal or variable could do, because many years down the road, how it can quote unquote blow up. Can you explain that in detail for our listeners so they understand the difference between guarantees and a variable product, and when we talk about it blowing up because of the cost of insurance, so they truly understand?
Yeah, anytime I've ever worked with a client who has entertained getting a universal life policy of any kind, the first thing that life insurance agent did was put an illustration in front of them and said, hey, look at these numbers. This is how your cash value is going to grow. When they show that illustration to me, what I point out is, hey, look at the guaranteed side. The guarantees on most of those is that, hey, if your cash value doesn't perform like it says you will, like they illustrate it to, then by age 65, you could be completely out of cash value and completely out of death benefit, have nothing left to show for it after paying into it for all those years. And the reason that is because as you get older, the cost of insurance rises every year because it's built on a 1-year annual renewable term. You know, if you live to be 85 years old, do you have any idea what $1 million of life insurance costs at age 85? I mean, it's going to be in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. You'll have to cut a check for, 200 grand just to keep that policy in force so your family has it if you happen to die that year. What if you live another 2 or 3, 4 years? So that's why these things blow up. I've had multiple clients come to me after paying on these things for 10 or 20 years and say, man, I don't know what to do with this. What can I even do with this? Because I don't want to keep paying this premium. They're really in a bad position. So what we have done is do what's called a 1035. You can actually move the cash value from that policy over into a properly designed whole life insurance policy, which is what we're going to discuss as a potential solution to some of the risk, to all of the risk actually proposed by these variable life insurance policies or universal life insurance. If you're drawn to this plan because of the permanent life insurance piece, well, the solution, in my opinion, is a properly designed whole life insurance policy. Whole life insurance has been around for hundreds of years. It was the main place that Americans stored their capital prior to the advent of, Americans being able to get into the stock market and variable universal life policies and things like that. I'm an insurance guy. I could write universal life if I wanted to, but I choose not to. And frankly, the number one reason I choose not to is because I would never buy a universal life policy for myself. I'm not going to write something that I wouldn't buy for myself. So people have come to me and asked, hey, I want to do this. I want to do it through a universal life policy. I say, well, I'm not going to do it. If you truly just want a universal life, you got to go somewhere else.